Alright, so I'm gonna give a little video of how to open these taillights, because it's really not that difficult. I think most people go with the Dremel way or send them away to have them done by somebody else, but it can be done with just a razor blade, and I guess you could use an oven, but I used a heat gun. So it's really maybe a 10-minute job if you know what you're doing. The technique that you're going to use to open these, which took me a while to figure out, but once I figured it out, it's really simple. At first I wasn't sure how you're supposed to cut into this. You could see that it's kind of just the clear and the black kind of meet together, but I wasn't sure how I was supposed to cut into it, and I was kind of cutting at an angle this direction. Well, that's not what you want to do, because if you do that, you're going to cut into the plastic and it will show through on the other side. I did that in one or two places on the left tail light that I did, and I mean, it's noticeable, but it's not something I'm worried about. But on this one, I know not to make that mistake. What you do is you cut straight down with the blade and then just go along all the way. And in some areas you might have to change the angle, such as down here. I mean, you kind of go in, but it's the same idea. I'm about to start cutting this open, and this is basically how we're gonna do this. I just use one of these blades, I don't know what you call them, but we're gonna heat it up with the gun, and you can see on your light there's a black, it looks like a plastic, but that's the glue that we're going to be cutting. And you want to cut as close to the clear plastic as possible. You're going to cut it away from the clear plastic. So when you heat it up with the gun, you just want to get it hot enough that you can cut through it. And you'll see the blade go onto the inside of the lens. That's how you know you're through. And then it should just move pretty easily along the edge, as long as you keep it hot enough. And this is the heat gun. I bought it basically just for this. So now I'm going to take the heat gun. I'm using it on high. It has a low and a high, but I'm just going to heat it up a few passes, maybe about 6 or 8 inches or so. And let's see. Now, occasionally, if I had two hands, I'd check with one hand the front of the lens to make sure it's not getting too hot. But, yeah, you could just, hit it with the heat on the back. So if anything, you're melting the back before you melt the front. I'm going to check and see if it's any bit near hot enough. No, not yet. The heat gun also takes time to heat itself up too. Still not there yet. Kind of took a break filming because it's easier. It takes a lot of heat at first, and I wasn't sure if I was getting anywhere with the blade, so I stopped filming. But I have started to get somewhere, and you can maybe see that it kind of starts to get clear instead of what used to be black. You can see there's a black edge the whole way around. Well, when you know you're breaking it away from the glue, it'll get like that, if you can see. And my glue is kind of hardened by now, but I've worked the blade in somewhat. As you can see, it goes in about that far. The glue really isn't that thick. That's more than halfway through, so pretty soon it should puncture through to the other side, and then really all you have to do is keep heating the glue and pull along the edge. Okay, right now I have gotten the tip of the blade onto the inside, if you could see right there. It's a little hard to tell, but it's inside. And my glue's hardening now, so I'm gonna pull it out and go ahead and heat up. But that's the first step, is just breaking through. And then you're just gonna pull it along the side. And I advise starting on the top. That's really probably the best area, because these areas it's sort of an angle. I don't know, this just seemed to be the easiest to me. And you're not really in danger of hitting any of the chrome too bad as you are over here. I have heated up a fairly decent amount. As you can see, there's that white border that's working its way across. So now this is just the technique that I'm using. You can see the blades on the inside, and you just work your way. It's getting a little hard, so I'm kind of wiggling, but it will, as you can see, it's slowly working its way across, and it's pushing that white edge out in front of itself, which is what's breaking the glue away from the plastic. Now I gotta add more heat because it's not going anywhere. Alright, I'm gonna try to film me while I'm doing this. Just adding some more heat. I just left the blade in there. What the hell? It should be somewhat decent. Alright. Now let's continue to work this blade across. And it is working. I mean, I'm still applying a fairly decent amount of pressure, which may not be that good, because on the first lens I didn't really heat it up all that well, and I was using a lot of force, and it did crack the plastic in one area, but very small, about 1/4 of an inch. But that's just something you want to be cautious about. So I'm going to heat it up some more. By the way, I use this blade a little bit. It's kind of harder to puncture through and cut along the edge because the blade's a little thicker, and in some areas it might like where's it at? Like right there. It put a little bit too much pressure on the plastic and kind of started to crack it. That's what I was talking about, and you want to watch out for that. So don't apply too much pressure like I did. You want to make sure it's hot enough and that you can just slice right through it.